Many of you into pickup trucks would probably consider the HiLux as one of the daddies, one of the OGs. It's been around since the 60s in various forms. But now more than ever, there's competition from the Ford Ranger Raptor and the new Volkswagen Amarok. So today in this video, we're going to find out how does this vehicle compare to pretty much those two vehicles. Yes, there are other vehicles that can do more payload in the back and tow 3.5 ton at the same time. This can do either or with 1,000 payload. One of the interesting comparisons with the HiLux is you can get this in a single cab, where in many other cases you have to get double. And prices start from low 40s, rising to well over €60,000, and this is the GR version of it, which is still the 2.8, 204 brake horsepower. It's definitely punchier than the one with about 150, and you get a little bit extra torque as well for all that towing. So this is definitely the one you want to go for in the HiLux comparisons. But let's have a little look around and see what the GR version is all about. Black high gloss and a bit of fake carbon fibre, as well as the GR badge in the front. LED headlights look super. You've got fogs down here, huge big wheel arches covered in plastic, and then there's a little bit of high gloss here. I'm not really sure what that's about. And the GR wheels have a mix of diamond cut and black inserts. There is a GR badge on the side. Now the sills, as far as I'm aware, are extra, but you're going to want them because it will help you climb in and out of this vehicle because it is quite high. It has more ground clearance, 60 mils more than the Ranger Raptor, but interestingly it can't wade as deep as the Ranger Raptor. But things like rocks and stuff, if you're regularly over those kind of surfaces, that might be a reason why you'd want to consider the HiLux instead of the Ranger Raptor. The bars in the back are black in this case, leading you around to the payload area, as I mentioned, 1,000 kilos. And yeah, it does look quite good. With the GR spec, you know, it looks a bit sharper. Does it look as meaty as the Ranger Raptor or even the Amarok? Probably not. Handy little step here as well if you're trying to get into the back of the cab area. And as I said, this drops down. You've got this tether for pulling this back. And again, some vehicles that's going to be an optional extra, but if you want to keep tools and stuff out of sight, then it is badly needed. Toyota don't mess around when it comes to physical buttons. Same goes for the HiLux. You've got shortcuts for everything. Heated seats, which only have one setting. Again, maybe they've worked out that you really need them to be extra hot when you've been out on a building site all day or off-road, whatever it is. Then you've got diff locks. You've got high and low, H2, H4 and L4, which you can just very quickly access here with a kind of revolving switch. You've got automatic climate control, and you have CarPlay and Android Auto and Toyota's own online system should you wish. That screen, it's fairly old hat at this stage. It's been around a long time. There's no doubt that the Ranger Raptor and the Amarok are more plush inside. However, this GR version gets kind of a suede insert in the middle of the seats. You've got a little bit of GR Gazoo Racing badging down below, and also on the steering wheel, some red flashes throughout the cabin, as well as more fake carbon fibre going on here. And the HiLux has two glove boxes, one up here and a larger one down below for keeping things secure. There's space for drinks to keep you happy on the move, and also cup holders just inside the door. Again, a lot of companies have done away with them because people were knocking drinks over their nether regions and scalding themselves, but it's nice to have that option. Toyota have kind of, I don't know, they're not bothered, or they are, but they just trust you to not scald yourself. There's an armrest back here. Usual seating setup pretty much in the back of the cab. Leg room is all right. There's little hooks throughout the cabin for holding jackets and whatever else you might want to hold on to. It's a fairly upright seating position, but it's okay. The rear window though is very, very small, and the camera, which this version has, is absolutely necessary. However, that gets dirty very easy, and there's no washer jet to clean that. That would be brilliant if they had that. It's a little bit annoying. You have paddles for changing your 6-speed automatic, in this case shift. The gear changes sometimes can really take their time. I don't think I'd want to drive one of these in manual, really wouldn't. And it all contributes then, that kind of laboured gear change, to about 10.1 litres per 100 kilometres. So it is a thirsty bus. Permanent 4-wheel drive, Land Cruisers are the same. They always like to gobble the juice. There's an eco button down here, but I'm really not sure what exactly that's going to do for you. So it's a fairly in some ways outdated cab, but you know what, it's got all the things that you need, and it's got hard wearing plastics to, you know, last the test of time in this thing. The other thing that's kind of annoying is the cruise control. It's a bit fidgety the first time you get to use it, and then you've got the distance part on a separate button, but it has lots of lane keep assist and safety gadgets and frontal collision stuff as well that are very important, and Toyota, in fairness, generally do very well with safety gadgets as standard. Anyway, what is this thing like off-road? Let's go and take a little look. When you're off-road and you put it into L4, that beeping is going on, which you tend to kind of drown out after a while, but it's there nonetheless. And then you can get a lot of traction lights flicking at you, and yeah, you just have to take your time. You have to be very careful. You've got to, I suppose, ideally check your wading depth to see what's going on. There is a hill descent, which works very, very well. That will brake for you, and it means the vehicle won't kind of speed off when you're going down a hill, which is, you know, I'm not even braking now, and it's doing the braking for me. That works beautifully. And then as it starts to come up again over the crest, you can give a little bit of power, and again the same as we're going down this very steep drop now, and just bringing the nose back up. Excellent, excellent. It's a lot of fun, but you just want to be careful of your limitations. You know, there is a limit to how much this thing can weigh. So I'm now going to turn off L4. Going to go back to our normal driving position. I'm going to turn off the hill descent because I don't need it now. That leaf spring, it does its job, but it can be a little bit unforgiving in terms of what it does to you as a passenger in the right circumstances. And like, you can guesswork on the water depth, or you can just take the slightly worn path that's a bit slippier and a bit muckier, but you just know, and you just let the vehicle steer into it, and it won't see you wrong, to be fair. So a great place to test out the HiLux today, because it's important, I think, with these vehicles to actually put them through their paces and see what they're like in these scenarios. If you're going to use it off-road, what's the point in just driving it around the city to review it that way? Very smooth road conditions here. It's generally not that choppy once you're on the right road surface, and by choppy I mean it's no worse than the best of pickups that I've driven. But there are times where the suspension, again, isn't totally perfect. 10.1 litres per 100 kilometres. I can't get it to do any better than that. It just won't work. Also, the other thing about the weighting is I seem to have managed to lose the front number plate somewhere in the water, so it'll probably end up floating. Soz. The gear changes, they can be slow, and like, you're like, come on, and it's a 6-speed, so there, like, it should have shifted down quicker. The Ranger Raptor has something that mimics 10 speed, so, you know, there's quite a difference there. Now, you know, it's very, very smooth here on this road, and even outside world noise is very good. It really can do quite a bit of both. Yes, I find the cruise a bit fidgety because there's two separate buttons to do it, and you're never quite sure, is it on? Is it keeping up with it? A couple of times it's caught me out by that, and you know, I use cruise control systems all the time, but that one just was a little bit strange to get used to at the start. You will get used to it, of course. I find the brakes very good. There's drums in the back, but they really do stop you. And yeah, that hill descent control thing is absolutely fantastic. It's really, really brilliant. And now I'm back on the road. It's like nothing ever happened, and that is what separates pickup trucks from the top tier of pickup trucks. It can do it all. I've done what I need to do there. It's easy to engage the different diff lock and the off-road modes. you drop off whatever you got to drop off, and you're back to the next job, and you're in comfort, and you've got all the things that you'd want to keep you happy on a longer drive. You have got that fidgety cruise control, and it's again on a motorway, not choppy at all. So yeah, it may not be as fancy as the Amarok and the Raptor. It may not get the same nods of approval from certain pickup users, predominantly Ford ones, but it's a case of if you know, you know. And I think that's where the HiLux, it's just a little bit under the radar, but I really don't think it's ever going to leave you stuck, and you get Toyota reliability. I do wish it was cheaper though, I will say that. I wish it was cheaper. I think the HiLux is still, in many ways, the daddy when you just want a utility vehicle that gets the job done. It's not as frilly as the Ranger Raptor or the Amarok. However, as far as I'm aware with Volkswagen, it's actually going to be quite hard to get your hands on a V6 into 2024. And the Ranger Raptor obviously has that 3-litre petrol that is really, really thirsty. Look, none of them are easy on juice. I suppose it just comes down to personal preference. They kind of all do the same job in their stride, apart from like the very specific details, like a bit more ground clearance on this vehicle compared to some of the others. But you know, I've driven a lot of these pickups this year, from some of the worst to some of the best. This is definitely in some of the best category, and you know how they've managed to make it do what it can do off-road and still be fairly drivable. Like it's only choppy, as I mentioned, when you get onto really poor road surfaces. Rest of the time it just in many ways drives like a normal vehicle, and when it's cruising down the motorway you don't even hear the diesel engine. So as far as I'm concerned, it's still there, but for the more showboaty pickup people, maybe the Ranger Raptor would be the one you'd go for compared to this. If you want to be a little bit more under the radar, HiLux could be for you. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one.